These are my power rankings so far this NBA season. I'm going to be ranking every single team from the best team in the league right now, all the way down to who I think is the worst team in the NBA. Starting it off here at number one, I do think the Boston Celtics are still the best team in the NBA. They have the best starting five group in the entire world. They have such good depth as well with guys like Payne Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Al Horford. I think their bench is pretty strong and they get good minutes from a lot of guys off the bench. They're well coached. They have that now playoff and finals experience going into this year, and they also have a record of 19-5. Number two, though, very closely behind them, I do think is the OKC Thunder. Even without Chet, he's missed quite a bit of time over the past month. The Thunder have the same record as the Celtics. They are also 19-5. And as I'm recording this video, they had a very impressive win over the Dallas Mavericks in that NBA Cup game. Their defense was off the charts, just clamping the Mavs guards in Luka and Kyrie. They really didn't have great games, and that was because of the defense of guys like Shea, Lou Dort, Caruso, Casey Wallace. All the perimeter defenders that this Thunder team has are elite. Number three is a really good regular season team, and I'm not sure how they're going to pan in the playoffs and as this season does progress, but it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. They are still 21-4. Yes, they've dropped a couple games in their last 10. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. So all four of those losses have come pretty recently. So I think we're starting to see the Cavs fall down their rankings a little bit, but I'm still going to give them that nod at number three just because of the fact their record is amazing. They still have the best record in the world, and they're still a very good regular season team. Number four is the Dallas Mavericks, which, like I said, had a very hard-fought, close game against an amazing Thunder team in that NBA Cup game. Luka and Kyrie struggled, but the Mavs have been red hot before that game. They were missing PJ Washington, which was a huge loss for the Mavs. I mean, that was probably the X factor in that game, was PJ Washington for this Dallas Mavericks squad. But this Mavs team is still 16-9. They're still 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they have been playing red hot basketball, and I feel like are starting to roll and get that chemistry. Now, right behind the Mavs, I do have the Grizzlies at 5. I think the Grizzlies are super impressive, and maybe not enough people are talking about this Grizzlies squad. They are 17-8. They're 19-1, or sorry, they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They are playing just as hot as anybody else in the entire league, even hotter than the Dallas Mavericks, and they just had an amazing win over a great best team in the league, the Boston Celtics. They beat them by 6 points. Now, number 6 here, I do think is the Houston Rockets, another Western Conference team that has looked very hot. I mean, they're only 6-4 in their last 10 games, but they're 16-8 overall in the regular season, and they've been playing great basketball. They just beat the Thunder, I would say about a week ago when I'm recording this video on the 1st, so that was a good win for the Rockets. Now, number 7 is the New York Knicks, and as I'm recording this video, they are just playing the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA Cup game. So if they were to drop this game to the Hawks, maybe you drop the Knicks down a couple spots in the power ranking. But if we're not taking this game into account, I think the Knicks have been really, really good recently. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. And I think they're starting to also figure it out chemistry-wise, just like the Dallas Mavericks. They have a lot of new players playing together. Cat's a new addition. Mikal's a new addition from the offseason. OG's only been there for about maybe just over half a year now. It's definitely going to take some time for this New York Knicks squad. Another Eastern Conference team here who has been absolutely cursed this season. Number 8, we do have the Orlando Magic. Franz Wagner has just been ruled out for at least a month. Paulo's missed pretty much the entire season. He's only played 5 games. And this Magic squad is still 17-10. With Paulo and Franz Wagner, this is a legit contender in the East. I think they have one of the best defenses in the NBA. They are so well versed. They have so many players that can do everything on the floor. I love that backcourt duo defensively with Jalen Suggs and KCP. Number 9, though, is the Golden State Warriors, which also, just like the Knicks and the Hawks, are playing tonight as I'm recording this video against the Rockets. And that's going to be a great game. I'm super excited to watch that game and see what the outcome is. And the Warriors have been a little bit lackluster over their last 10 games. They're 4-6 in their last 10, but they still have Steph Curry. They still have a deep roster, and I think they're trying to make a trade to round out my top 10 teams, I should say, in the NBA right now as I record this video. I actually do have the Milwaukee Bucks. They have been red hot. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They just beat Orlando in the NBA Cup game last night as I'm recording this video. And this was a team that started, I believe, 4-9. And now they have a record of 13-11. So this is a squad that has been absolutely rolling recently. I love watching them play. I think Dame and Giannis have been playing at that superstar level that I think we all know they can play at. Number 11 is going to be the Denver Nuggets, and there's a lot of question marks with this Denver Nuggets squad, but the first thing we have to talk about is Nikola Jokic. He scored 104 points, I believe it was, in 2 games. One game against the Wizards where he had 56, and then the next game against the Hawks, I believe he had 48 points. Also, both games almost having like a 50, 15, and 10 triple-double performance on great efficiency. I mean, Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world by far, and I feel like if you have that dominant of a player, you still kind of have to be somewhere in the top 10, top 15 ranking. Now, number 12 is a team that has been doing better over the past couple weeks or so, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, their last 10 games, they're also only 5-5, but they've had a couple good wins. They beat the Lakers in a very dominant performance about a week or so ago when I'm recording this video, and I think they're also another team that is taking a while to gel, right? Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo coming in from the Knicks in the offseason. It's going to take some time to get used to. Mike Conley is starting to look a little bit older, right? He's starting to not look as good. Jaden McDaniels offensively has been horrible this season. So number 13 is a team that once they get Kawhi Leonard back, the Clippers, this could be really scary in the Western Conference. They are still 14-11, 6-4 in their last 10 games. And once they get Kawhi Leonard back, which I think is going to be pretty soon, he seemed to be super disappointed and upset that he's missed so many games. So I think Kawhi Leonard is going to come back with kind of a chip on his shoulder in the NBA. And I think the Clippers can make some real noise in the Western Conference. They're still over 500. Now to say number 14 and number 15, I got 14 Suns and 15 Lakers. Both these teams have just not looked good in their last 10. They are both 3-7 in their last 10 games. The Lakers, I feel like, have been struggling a little bit more than the Suns. LeBron started to look better, so you like to see that, but a huge question mark with their bench. The Suns are just kind of injury-riddled, right? Kevin Durant, he goes down with another injury, because when Kevin Durant's playing for the Suns, they look like real contenders in the Western Conference, but I think both the Lakers and the Suns are not looking great, but I still want to give them the top 15 edge and kind of just a respect to LeBron and KD. Now, number 16 is going to be the Miami Heat, who have been really good over their last 10 games. They're 7-3 as I'm recording this video. But then we get news yesterday as I'm recording this that it looks like the Miami Heat are open to listening to trade offers from other NBA teams about Jimmy Butler, which I'm kind of surprised about just because they've started to look better and kind of are rolling right now. Tyler Hero is playing at an all-star level. I mean, the numbers and just the scoring performances that Tyler Hero is putting up is ridiculous. He looks like the best player on this Heat roster. Number 17 is the Atlanta Hawks. When I was talking about the Knicks, I mentioned that they're playing the Hawks tonight. So it's this game, I think, will be a great game. I mean, Trae Young in the Garden, I believe it's in the Garden, and that will be an amazing, amazing game to watch. But the Hawks are 13-12. They don't have a great record in the Eastern Conference, but if they were to beat the Knicks tonight in an NBA Cup game, you could probably put them a lot higher on this list. But number 18 is going to be the Sacramento Kings, another team in the Western Conference that's taking some time to gel with a huge move in the offseason, going out and getting DeMar DeRozan. And I'm not really sure if that was the best fit for this Kings team, for DeMar. I mean, they just don't have a lot of good spacing. They don't have a lot of good perimeter defenders besides Keon Ellis. And it's kind of shown this season. They're 12-13 as I'm recording, 4-6 in their last 10 games. And they just haven't looked like that same team from a couple years ago. Number 19 is the Spurs, and I'm honestly shocked with how well the Spurs have played. They're 12-12 in a very deep Western Conference. Wemby has been amazing. I think Chris Paul's been a great addition alongside Wemby, like to help Wemby's development as a young rookie in this league, a young player in this league. And I think the Spurs are actually going to be competitive next year. Number 20, though, is the Indiana Pacers, and I think it's time to say, the Indiana Pacers just suck. They just flat out suck. They're not a good basketball team. 10-15 in a very weak Eastern Conference. They've lost some horrible games to the Hornets, to the Nets, to the Raptors. They lost to the Grizzlies, the Pistons. I mean, they have lost so many games against bad teams. Like the Pistons are not great. The Raptors aren't great. 21, we got the Pistons. 22, we got the Bulls. And 23, we do have the Nets. The Pistons have a record of 10-15. The Bulls have a record of 10 and 15, and the Nets also have a record of 10 but 14 losses instead. 24, I do have the 76ers, who, I mean, have started to look a lot better, I would say, and have started to get that health back, which they desperately needed. There's 5 and 5 in their last 10, and I think we could start to see the 76ers start to roll a little bit here if they can, once again, just like another team that kind of has to gel with a lot of new additions, the main one being Paul George. 25, I have the Trailblazers. I just think they're another team that's going to look to trade their, I guess, star best players once again. Jeremy Grant, guys like DeAndre Ayton, I don't think are going to stick around here. Denny Avdia, who was their main, I guess, trade in the offseason they traded for, hasn't looked good this year. 26 is the Hornets. I mean, without LaMelo Ball, this team is pretty much god-awful. They're 7 and 17. Brandon Miller, I think, has been really good for this squad. They're starting to get their centers back sort of healthy, like Nick Richards and Mark Williams, which will be helpful for this squad. But without LaMelo Ball, there's kind of no hope for this Hornets team. 27, I will say, my Toronto Raptors. I mean, I think they're having a great season. And you would say, a great season. They're 7 and 18. They're 4 and 6 in their last 10. But they're playing their young guys. They're having very competitive and close games. But they're still losing, and they're tanking for a really good draft class next year with guys like Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper. And I think it's going to be one of the better draft classes we've seen in a while. 28 is the Utah Jazz. They are horrible and are probably going to trade a good amount of their players at the deadline. 29 is the Pelicans. They have so many injuries, and I can't believe how bad of a record they have in the Western Conference. They are 5 and 15, they are 5 and 20, and they're 1 and 9 in their last 10 games. Pelicans, I think, at 29. Honestly, the only reason why they're not 30 is just because of the Washington Wizards, who are 3 and 19. They're 1 and 9 in their last 10 games, and that one win was against Nikola Jokic's Denver Nuggets, where Jokic had 56 points, but somehow the Wizards still won that game. But they are clearly the worst team in basketball, which made that performance and just that loss for the Nuggets even worse. But yeah, guys, that's my power rankings right now in the NBA season. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think about my rankings? Where would you move some teams around? And let me know who you think has been the best teams and the worst teams right now in the NBA season. But I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.